road of compromising on the road to my horizon. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your Glenn Campbell-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the not-so-overly ostentatious digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. And break out those transistor radios. You gardeners, get ready. Get your transistor radios out. Put that air plug in. Put it over to the AM dial, 1450 AM. In case you don't like AM, flip over to FM, 103.9 FM. That's Concord. For you happy, blessed souls in Manchester, 101.9 FM down there. And if you need a URL because you don't know what the heck a radio is or looks like, you can go to nhtalkradio.com. There's a button out there where you can listen to us live, and I'll give you a little bit more explanation about the URL later. I need to thank my sponsor, Lakes Region Fence up in Guilford. Matt and his crew up there do exemplary work. Oh my gosh, listen, it's almost Easter. You don't need to get out the eggs. What you need to do is take a look at that pile of rubble in your backyard that you think is a fence. It's been there for eons. Time to dump it. Dump it. Go out to lrfence.com. That's lrfence.com. You can spend hours looking through videos out there. Get your favorite squeeze, get a little bit of vino, and just spend the next few hours looking at all the great work they do out there. lrfence.com. lrfence.com, Lakes Region Fence. Matt, we appreciate so much you're sponsoring this show. We are taking a divergent road here. Normally, we are dedicated to the arts, but I have a second love, and it has to do with gardening in permaculture in particular. Did I say permaculture like I'm from Boston or something? I missed. In studio with me is Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ray. We
are going to talk about the Hummingbird Center. Dunstan, why don't you give me a little overview about the Hummingbird Center, where it's located, what's happening out there, and then we'll get into the particulars.
All right. Ray, we are a brand new retreat center and permaculture farm established in Dorchester, New Hampshire. The land itself has been in use as a permaculture farm for going on 3 decades as an entity known as D Acres, which was more focused on the educational homesteading component of permaculture and community building. And due to a few reasons last year, the opportunity presented itself for the LLC that I've been working on for a couple of years, the Hummingbird Center, to step in and run the property. And our focus this first year is getting the restaurant up and running with obviously all of our ingredients, or as much as we can, coming directly from the land. Things like flour and salt and oil we'll be importing. We just don't have the acreage to grow grain and scale.
Yet, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, also the terrain isn't necessarily super conducive to us growing large fields of grain. So we'll be getting those from Maine. Our salt will come from Maine. We'll get canola oil or not canola, but sunflower oil from Vermont. We're not using any canola oil in our restaurant.
Thank you.
And then we'll be getting flour from Champlain Mills or Maine Grains, one of those two entities that works with organic farmers in our region. So we've got the restaurant we're working on this year. We have the hostel and the campground, which we're building out as well, working on developing a recreation destination of sorts. We're super lucky with our property. Not only do we have this close to 3 decades old established perennial food system through the orchards, through the edible forest, the organic gardens, but we also have access to 23,000 acres of mountain bike and ski trails. It's open free to the public, and we've now spent the last few years cutting trails from our property over to the Green Woodlands Foundation where these trails are, and these are world-class trails, machine built, single track, mountain bike trails. There's gravel grinding trails for people who just want to get out and cruise with a family at a leisurely pace. And then in the wintertime, all of those trails turn to groomed ski trails. So we're focusing on getting the word out, letting people know about that, the restaurant, and then also this third piece of the puzzle, which is retreats. And that's retreats that we're putting on ourselves, programming that's based upon the edible, wild and perennial food system we have on the property. And then we're working with various practitioners as well to offer yoga, meditation, sound bath, breath work sessions, education, farming education, gardening education. And that's it. I mean, that's it. It's been keeping us pretty busy.
Okay, well, that's the show.
Yeah.
Let's back up. And for people who don't know or who need a little delineation of some things here, let's peel apart. Can you give us a definition of permaculture as it pertains to the site out there?
Yeah, permaculture got its name from just two words: permanent agriculture. The idea that you don't have to completely destroy your annual garden beds every year with tilling to make way for the next planting, and that you can actually set a farm up or a garden, a small scale garden. Even you're on, what'd you say, a quarter acre?
Yeah.
A quarter. You can take a small piece of land and make it highly productive, and that's by recognizing the complex relationships that are happening, not just visually, but underneath the soil and in the soil, the flow of water on your property and how to retain that, how to get the the pollinators on the property, how to get more vegetation that is not just for you, but also for all of those animals and insects and microorganisms that go to making up a super healthy ecosystem on your property. How do you build all of that? And permaculture is a way to do that. I think it's only relatively new as a society that we've needed to come up with a term for what nature is doing naturally without us. Because of the advent of industrial agriculture, sort of after World War I and through World War II, and the use of industrial pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers on the land, there's been a need now for several decades that people want to get away from the destruction of the soil they're seeing, and they want to get back to food that is nutrient dense and healthy, not just for us, but for our ecosystem of where it's being produced. So, that's what we've been doing. That's what Josh Trott, who's the founder of D Acres, which is the entity that existed before Hummingbird Center and ran the property for, like I said, going on 3 decades. He saw the need for change in the 70s and was able to come into this land from his great aunt and uncle and dedicated his life to creating this diverse food system that I'm talking about: the orchards, the berries, the wild edibles, the annual beds. Yeah, the one of the things I like about permaculture is that it's broken down into like zones. So zone 0 is your house and like what's right in that immediate area. Zone 1 is a little bit wider. So zone 0 might be things that you will just go out every day. It's right there, an herb right on your front porch or something. Zone 1 might be out where the chickens are, it's a little bit further out. Zone 2, you've got something different growing out there. 3, 4, 5. Zone 7 might be just woods, just something out there. And I find that fascinating, because when you think of it that way, you don't have to go work zone 7 like you might have to do with zone 1, and it's a whole different input system, input-output kind of ratio type of thing. It's funny you mention water retention. So permaculture is also famous for, it's not a problem, it's in need of a solution. And we had my house, I was telling you earlier, a lot of it was just hard pack soil, just
you couldn't grow in it. You could not literally grow in it. Weeds wouldn't grow in it. And as we were building up our soil, and we decided one year we were going to plant blueberry bushes. And so what was happening was there's a street that runs oh my gosh. Put a tack in it right there. Hang on a second. Dunstan. Ooh, I'm so close. Jeez. We are talking with Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center out in Dorchester. Oh, I'm just getting started. You are listening to NH Unscripted, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM Manchester, and the URL is nhtalkradio.com. I'm going to go have some Sanka and Spam. I don't know what Dunstan's going to have, but we'll be back in a minute and try to talk about it. Three men sailed up from San Francisco Bay. I think they were looking for NH Unscripted. They hang around long enough, they'll find it. We are NH Unscripted, 1450 AM on your transistor radio, 103.9 FM on your transistor radio. Those are Concord-based, 101.9 FM for the happy souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL, in case for some reason you don't know what an FM band is. In studio with me is Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center in Dorchester. Now, I'm telling you right now, I got to finish my story, but I'm telling you right now, if you have never been out there, never, ever, ever been out there, it is get off the flipping couch, get in your car, and go out there. It's well worth it. Dunstan, let me finish my story, and then, so, we had a water problem at my house. The street is crowned, and the water was coming down my driveway and hitting the foundation of my house, flooding my basement. And my wife and I are like, well, we can dig a ditch along the road and, try to do that. But looking at permaculture principles, we said, what if we use this water? So we started to build blueberry beds. We dug holes, made small mini like hugel culture beds, threw sticks in and all that stuff, built them up so they were nice and tall, and then we cut little swales in front of them. So as the water would come off the road initially, it would hit this one, soak down into that little bed, and we just kind of tilted them a little bit so that the water, once it filled up, would like run off to the next one and hit it. So we had like 5 of them, and we caught all the water that was eventually coming off the road. And it was watering our blueberry bushes.
Oh, that's a fantastic solution. I like what you said about we don't have a problem. There's a wonderful story Ram Dass shares about his time with Timothy Leary at Harvard, and when they were engaged in their somewhat more restricted behaviors, they came.
We're talking about the Timothy Leary from the 70s?
Yeah, and and Richard.
Not getting into what they were doing.
Richard Alpert, and who's now Ram Dass, who went to India and had a really powerful experience. But so they were running into all kinds of issues at the school, and Timothy Leary would often have to calm Ram Dass down by saying, Ram Dass or Richard, we don't have a problem. We need a solution.
Yeah.
And that's permaculture as well.
I love
it. A solution to the problems we're facing, and they're broad. There's a diverse set of issues that we have in our food system, and specifically to where we're at. Water retention is an issue on our property. We're on a pretty steep hill, and the water is trying to run off of our land at a rapid rate and get down to the valley where our friends have another farm, Longview, and we've been joking that they've been taking our nutrients for thousands and thousands of years. Everything runs downhill towards those guys, and they have these beautiful,
I'll bet they do, beautiful
long straight garden beds right on the Baker River that allows them to say farm in a more industrial model and create vegetables and use tractors that are higher input, but still super high quality. And things that we've done on our property, like you said, planting berries or understory trees also are a great way to keep the water on the property. You don't want to disturb any delicate habitats on the property, but if you talk to your local governing bodies about putting retention ponds as well, let's say at the top of hills, being able to control the release of water slowly over the course of the summer versus just seeing that snow melt disappear and then trying to irrigate the hilly areas of your property. So there's ways around that.
Yeah, we have taken, I was telling you earlier that a lot of our yard, not a lot, we had a major portion of our little quarter acre had grass, which every year when we were first there, have to go out and cut it. How many times a year? It's unbelievable. Stupid. But we decided we don't want to be cutting grass. If it's on our property at this point, it's either medicinal or it's edible or it's a pollinator. One of those kind of three things. My wife goes out and hunts out things that's going to fit into one of those. It has to be productive, in our opinion, and not just sucking energy out of us by making us go out and cut the frickin' grass every time that it rains. So all of the stuff on our property, in one way or another, is producing. We've either got things for hummingbirds or bees. We've got, oh my gosh, bees come out. She's got these plants that attract bees like nobody's business. You go out there sometimes in her herb garden and it just hums.
Oh, I was just thinking, Ray, I've got a similar experience on our property, and I'm thinking particularly about mullein flowers.
My wife has mullein.
Yeah, the big, tall, yellow stalks. So the mullein game at the Hummingbird Center is off the charts, Ray. If you want to come up there and feel that humming, which sounds like
it's like a power line. You think you're under a power line, but
it's wild.
Yeah,
stepping outside and you can feel the vibration of the bees just dancing all over the flowers. I'm glad that you shared that.
Oh
that
man, it's so powerful.
Well. Yep.
It's so powerful. The summertime, to walk through our yard in the summertime is just a gift from God. I mean it. When things are in bloom, she's got more things. We've got probably 10, 15 types of berries. She's growing cranberries, elderberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, goji berries. She's got gummies. I can't tell you everything she's got. Chokeberries. The place is just phenomenal.
How are the goji berries? Have they taken over everything yet?
It's funny you mention that. They tended to be a little more invasive than we thought they might be. We find them popping up through our garden beds like 20 feet away. There'll be a sprout coming up through. Yeah, we had to get rid of one because of that. It produces, and the birds love it, and they come in and just eat the living fire out of it.
Yeah, what a fun little berry.
Yeah, and it's like the hot new thing, right? A goji berry. It's supposed to be one of these best
antioxidant.
Yeah.
Powerful antioxidant.
But it's crazy. It just wants to run. That thing just wants to run and grow.
Yep.
It's insane. We keep pulling them. I'm telling you, 20 feet away. You give it enough time, 20 feet away, it just pops up in the tomatoes. It's unbelievable. So when you go out to the Hummingbird Center, sorry, I keep trying to say the acres, but the Hummingbird Center, what types of things are happening out there? I went out several times for the tour, and which is wonderful. I mean, and I've said this, well, we talked earlier, and I said, if you're looking for something manicured, permaculture is not your way to go because it can look like a mess. But it's all not a mess. It's all interwoven. Everything out there in the permaculture world has a purpose and a function. And they interact with each other on a level that most of us just don't ever think about. So when you go out to the Hummingbird Center, what kinds of things, activities, like if they were to go out this spring, what's happening out there?
Well, we'll start with what you're talking about, which is the farm tour, which was a big draw for D-Acres. And I should mention that I started going over to D-Acres in 2013, and when it was run by Josh, and the community outreach focused heavily on 3 different events: potluck and open mic, pizza night, And then what was the third one we were doing? Oh, brunch as well. So those 3 events during the month, and then a farm tour on Sunday after the brunch. And that brought a lot of people onto the property. That's where I was first exposed to the practices of permaculture. I had spent close to, at that point, 15 years in professional kitchens, doing fine dining, working sort of all over
in America or
United States and Canada as well. Yeah, bouncing around. I did the traveling chef thing for a long time, so working seasonally on Martha's Vineyard or other seasonal locations, and then taking off and traveling for as much as I could and exposing myself to other cuisines around the world. So my experience at D Acres is one of real love and appreciation and gratitude for the work that went into that place, and then at the same time also awe and inspiration, having spent so many years in commercial kitchen restaurants that claim to be farm to table, and then coming to D Acres and seeing the ingredients there that I had never seen on any restaurant menu that I'd worked at. And it
For
had,
instance?
just gooseberry,
Yeah.
which is now more popular than it was, a
Delicious,
decade ago.
by the way.
Gooseberry, nanny berry, buffalo berry, Arctic kiwi, these many different kinds of currants that are considered invasive but will grow really well here and highly beneficial for, in terms of the nutrient and mineral profile. Well, geez, so that's just to name a few. So I had this experience over there of like instantly falling in love with the place because of the food system. Sounds like I'm supposed to take a break here.
Yeah, we're just
All right.
That's fine. You can always finish your thought, but we're gonna tack in that one right there too. Yeah, so I'm used to pastrami on bulky rolls. Yeah, I am. It's a whole different thing we're talking about today, though, aren't we? You are listening to NH Unscripted. I'm your happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the water country like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the blessed people down in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center is here. Yeah, are you intrigued, huh? Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to peel some more apart what he's got to say. Hey, baby, they're playing our song. Happy to be here. Oh my gosh, you are listening to NH Unscripted. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM in Manchester. I am your host without the pants, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL, and for those of you who are familiar with URLs, you know if you go out to that URL, you can find archives of this show and all of the other great programming here at the studio, as well as listen to it live. So you can go out there and find the SoundCloud links for all of the MP3s that go on here. We are deep in the weeds. Get it? Deep in the weeds, talking permaculture with Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center in Dorchester. Sir, you were regaling us with a story.
Right. I was telling you about the different events that are going to be happening over at the Hummingbird Center. So the transition happened from D Acres to Hummingbird Center last year, and really renovation started in the fall once I wrapped up my other business, and we've spent the last several months doing renovations and coming up with what this first year looks like for us in terms of our offerings. And we want to offer, again, sort of along the lines of what D Acres offered, which is an educational opportunity for people to come up to the property and see a active permaculture farm, how it's run on a larger scale, and to be a part of that, ask questions, and then hopefully take some stuff home, learn some things to implement back on their own property, sort of like you did. And one of the ways we're going to do that are offering retreats once a month, June, July, August, September, potentially October as well. And what we'll focus on are the edible wild plants on the property as well as the perennial food system. So the Saturday retreat would start about 10 o'clock, and then we would have yoga and a sound bath, and then we would head out to the forest and do basically education. A fellow by the name of Darren has agreed to spearhead the edible plant walks for us, a very knowledgeable fellow who knows the land, and we'll be able to identify, over the course of the season, over 96 wild edible plants on the property. Obviously, we won't see all of those at one time, for a retreat, but we'll get a good taste as they go through the season, what it looks like to eat with the seasons and to forage through the seasons. So the meals will be based upon what we find on the land, whether it be mushrooms or flowers or, herbs and wild greens, and then also using our orchards as well. And we'll craft meals for the retreat guests based on what we can find on the property and what's in season at that very moment. And then the meals and the foraging would be offset with yoga programming, and like I said, so that would be June, July, August, or September. And then we'll also be offering regular yoga classes and sound bath, meditation, and also breathwork sessions on Fridays and Saturdays, open to the public, also open to our hostel and retreat guests as well. On Sunday, we'll be offering brunch, similar to what D Acres used to offer, but with a little more diversity, and reservations are encouraged but not required. And after the brunch on Sundays, we'll be offering the farm tour, the one that you attended and the one that I attended as well. There will be other activities as well throughout the season. Our restaurant will be open full swing starting in May. On Friday nights, we'll be looking to offer scratch pasta and pizza night. So we'll be making everything from scratch: the doughs, the breads, the pasta,
the bread.
And
oh my God,
that allows us to have almost a set sort of theme, but be able to really play with the ingredients that come in and out of season on the property. So the pizza toppings can change, and the pasta ingredients can change. And then on Saturday nights, we'll be offering Fire Night, and Fire Night will be a celebration of fire and grilling food, primarily a grill-based menu, and also the wood-fired hot tub will be going, the bonfire will be going, and then we'll also have little fires throughout the property that people can cozy up next to, little fire pits and whatnot, and that'll run again just like the scratch pasta and pizza night from May until the end of October. So those are our first year activities at the moment. We're currently talking to a few different other groups about coming up and potentially offering some other things, but that's the meat of it at the moment.
Yeah, there's so much here, so much going on out there. By the way, I mean, I've seen canning classes going on out there. You have an outdoor solar dehydrator. Is that still there?
It is still there.
The cob oven still there?
Still there.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. Shower. You have an outdoor shower.
Yeah. We have 2 outdoor showers.
Yes, my wife is pushing me to put one at our house, and I just haven't gotten around to do it. I don't want to look into it. I'm too lazy. What you've mentioned a couple of times now, and I just want to flesh it out a little bit more. You said that you used the term sound bath. What in the world does that mean?
Sound bath is the practice of using sound vibration as a relaxing element in your life. So de-stress, slow down, unwind, and then...
This is like yoga with bunnies? Is it, I mean, what, so, does it have that same kind of...
I mean, so yoga just means union. And yoga, union it's union between you and the divine. Whatever that looks like for you, the yogic tradition of the Hindus is, the divine has a very specific definition. But in the West, yoga has morphed into almost more of a cardiovascular exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So,
of course, because we do.
there's,
We change everything in the West here.
yeah, we're go-getters.
Yeah.
We like to be proactive and be producing things, and I think we've sort of taken yoga and removed some of the spirituality and added the need for production or results.
Yeah.
And things like that. And there's
Gonna
nothing.
keep our heart rhythm up. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But the sound bath would be just another form of yoga with sound bowls. So are you familiar with the Tibetan singing bowls?
Yes.
Yes, you hit them with a felted hammer and they
I didn't
resonate.
know that part. I did. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a person, a friend of the farm, who's on staff who will be leading those as well, and she leads them with the various crystal sound bowls, not the metal ones, and then she'll lead us with a meditation and then a yoga nidra session as well as part of the sound bath. So really a wonderful opportunity to experience 3 different components of yoga.
How well attended are a lot of these things?
Well, that's a good question. We don't know since our first year. We've never held them.
At all? No, you've never had classes for yoga and stuff out there?
D. Akers did a number of years ago.
Yeah.
I know that traditionally the yoga classes were not incredibly well attended. And, I think that was for a variety of reasons. The model that we're introducing now will supplement the yoga will supplement the hostel, the campground, and then also the restaurant. Sort of just another opportunity for people to get up there. I don't know if we would have much success just holding, say, a yoga class on Saturday and trying to make that, our main source of revenue. I think we're too far away from the major, Plymouth and Dartmouth areas to run, say, just a yoga studio.
Yeah.
But by offering, say, the access to the mountain bike trails, the restaurant, the hostel, the campground, the hiking trails, and the gardens, then ideally people would want to come out and spend several hours at the farm and not just come for a yoga class. And we think that it's more enticing for people to be able to, if you're making that drive 20 minutes or say an hour from Dartmouth, or even coming down from Montreal, you can engage in various activities on the property and spend some time and chill out.
So how are people finding out?
We've just started our marketing campaign last month.
Yeah.
We started putting a bunch of mailers out using some resources we found and developed over the years, ski and bike shops, yoga and wellness studios. Our marketing campaign has 3 different phases. The paper mailers are out. We're moving into online advertising with Google, Facebook, and Instagram, and then the third round after that is another campaign that's advertising the restaurant, specifically target marketing various areas around where we are.
Yeah. So I know you're, for the most part, a standalone type of... What? Is it time again to take another break? Time for Tang and Mapo, baby. Oh, I'm in the wrong company for that. Who knows what we'll have on this break. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of bed host, wearing the pajamas with the feet in them today. You are listening to us at WKXL. We are coming to you from the wall, Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios, deep in the bunkers, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. You great souls in Manchester, 101.9 FM down there. NH Talk Radio is our URL. Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center is here. We're not going to get through it all. We're just not. I got to face it. We will be back. Might as well face it, you're addicted to the love. You have found NH Unscripted. I am your happy host, Ray Dudley. Oh man, having a ball living life. We are coming to you from the water country-like studios of the WKXL bunkers in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios, 101.9 FM in Manchester. And if you need a URL because you just don't know what us old folks are talking about their radio, what the heck? NHTalkRadio.com is where you will find this show archived and all the other great programming here. I'm wasting time. Dunstan Smith from the Hummingbird Center in Dorchester. I'm warning you, if you have never been out there and you need, just take a Sunday drive. Go out there. Dunstan, what is the URL, by the way?
URL is www.thehummingbirdcenter.com.
You got to go out. The pictures are beautiful of the meals. They're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. I see all the unbaked bread sitting there waiting, rising. Oh, my God. What is... Oh, first of all, because I need to backtrack a little. What is your background? Why are you even in this space?
Oh, my background. So... At 18 years old, I was cooking to pay for school and college and decided that I would rather cook than go to school. And it coincided with me reading Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential, which sort of pulled the curtain back on some kitchen shenanigans. And I felt that those were my people and the people I wanted to hang out with. So I started cooking seriously at 19 and 20 and wanting to make it a profession, and spent the next, now 41, so I've been cooking since that long in restaurants up and down the East Coast. And
did you go to school for it, or was it all just hands-on?
No, I went the apprenticeship route.
Yeah?
So, I needed to make money, and being in school wasn't the way I felt that I would be best served. So I found nice restaurants with talented chefs who would teach me and pay me at the same time. Not much.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think the apprenticeship route is the way to go, especially with cooking. You get a lot of people that are coming out of culinary school who don't have a lot of restaurant experience before they go in, and are sadly quite rudely awoken once they step foot in restaurants and see the change in pace and the change in intensity versus what they experienced at cooking school or culinary school. So the apprenticeship route served me very well, and I think it served many other people. I'm not discouraging people from going to culinary school, but I would advise that people spend some time in the restaurant industry working with some crazy cooks before they decide they want to make it a profession and drop $40,000 a year at CIA or wherever they're going to culinary school. So my background is as a professional chef working in fine dining, farm to table restaurants, and that process led me to wanting to know more about where my food came from, and then gradually wanting to know how to grow the food myself, and how do I raise the animals, and how do I develop relationships with farmers in the area that can produce things that I can't produce, and how do I focus solely on what grows in the area? And
is that quest? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you
please.
off. Is that quest for that type of knowledge a byproduct of the industry? Because are all chefs concerned about where the food comes from? Or are they? Because it fascinates me that they would be. I can see a lot of them just not caring. Just the food comes in, high quality, and they're going to put it together and make a meal. But the need to know where the food comes from is a whole nother level, because you have now taken on a responsibility that not a lot of people care about.
I realized that the government entities that are set up to protect us and create regulation around certain industries have been completely co-opted by the very agencies or corporations that they're supposed to be regulating. And that has led to, I would say, a great disservice done to the American people by corporate capture of our regulatory agencies. So I don't know that if all chefs really care about where their food came from. It just so happened in my life that I stumbled upon some information early in my cooking career, or fairly early in my cooking career, that led me to not trust sources of food that was coming from other parts of the world. And the science backed it up in terms of nutritional content, destructive effects of pesticides, herbicides, and chemical-based fertilizers. So it was a personal journey that I felt I needed to embark on, and it was a disservice to the people I was feeding to give them food that had been soaked in Roundup or a genetically modified grain. I couldn't feel good about serving people food that I wouldn't eat myself because I considered it toxic or destructive to my body.
So Mapo is not being served out there.
Mapo? I don't even know what that is.
Welcome to the 50s. What would a typical meal? Someone shows up for Sunday brunch at the Hummingbird Center. What are they going to end up eating?
That's a good question. So I guess it would depend on the season.
Okay.
So early in the season, we're going to have service berries. So I'll be coming in really our first berry, and that comes in sort of late June. And what we're still working off this time of year is a lot of the preservation food that we went through the winter with. So we have dried apples. We have apple year was crazy. We've got over a dozen varieties on the property.
Really?
And we did everything.
You had a good year with apples?
Oh, it was nuts.
I thought it was a bad year for most places.
It was down south. Yeah, that frost wiped a lot of blossoms out, but we were just high enough. I don't know what the conditions were, but
stiff.
Yeah, we loaded up on apples.
Knocked
this
off
year.
ours.
So we made apple taffy, we made all kinds of different apple preserves, chutneys, sauces, apple butter. We did various dried apples, and we kept a bunch fresh, packed in sawdust. So the menu will change through the season, obviously, but you can expect to see some really fun, internationally inspired, obviously locally sourced things. Croque Madame is one of my favorites.
Never heard of it.
That's a fancy egg sandwich with ham and bechamel sauce. And there's
I'm in.
Oh, we could do croquettes and different kinds of potato latkes, brioche French toast. We'll be looking to highlight our eggs from the property are just outrageous. They're these bright, beautifully orange, almost turmeric-colored eggs that come from hens that we raised from little tiny chicks, and they eat the same. They don't eat the same grass that we eat, but they're on the same
I've stumbled over a few of them out there.
They're just roaming and they're
having a ball.
Breathing the same air, drinking the same water we are, and giving us really special eggs. So we're trying to highlight those and be able to get eggs any kind, various ways. Then there's also the meat that we're getting. We have a very close relationship with a few farmers in the area to get our pork, chicken, and our beef. We just
free range and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we just bought a whole cow, 100% grass fed, 7-year-old dairy.
Grass finished as well.
Grass finished as well. No, it's a special animal. Her name was Priscilla. We're honored that we got the opportunity to be part of that process in terms of processing that animal and getting it into our freezers ready for this year.
Good for you.
By having a whole cow, you're not serving strips or ribeyes every night of the week because you only have 15 or 20 of those.
Right.
So you're forced to have a menu that reflects each part of the animal in use. So,
you endeavor to use the whole animal as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely.
Snout the tail.
No, that's important part of what we do is honoring that entire animal and not just focusing on that prime cut. And that's one of the challenging and fun parts of it, too, is how can you take a lesser cut of meat and make it something that's really extraordinary and special that people are excited to eat. And, cultures have been doing that for tens of thousands of years now. Traditionally it would be the peasants or the poorer people that are getting the end bits, you could say, or the organ meat, and turning them into really special dishes, whether that be blood sausage or pâtés and terrines. For example, I love making sausage. I love making terrines. And you're just using the ground bits there. And that's a product that you can expect to see on the brunch menu, a nice country pâté with crispy sourdough bread and some homemade pickles and some mustard.
Oh, my God. Dunstan.
Oh, no. We out of time?
The hour's gone. We are done.
We got so much. I'm just starting to get comfortable.
I'm telling you, give me the URL one more time.
www.thehummingbirdcenter.com.
And that is why this lady is a tramp. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. Man, the time flies by. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios. I can smell the chlorine from here in the pool. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for you beautiful souls in Manchester. NH Talk Radio is our URL. The Hummingbird Center in Dorchester. Get off your butt and get out there. We'll see you on the next one.